up, Rebels? You got Jeremiah in the house. You got Fielder in the house. Jeremiah, should we say your last name, or is it just Jeremiah? That's the real question. Is it Jeremiah
Well,
Griffin?
Jeremiah is like 4 syllables or whatever. So then saying my last name just kind of adds. Where Dale is just 1 syllable. Dale. Jeremiah.
Okay, that makes more sense to me, right? And I like that how you just explained that. It's and honestly, by the way, everybody, this is completely unscripted. As a matter of fact, Jeremiah and I literally just decided to do the show like 30 seconds ago. That is exactly what the show is going to be doing for people. This live get together, right, where we make sense of things, right, but in a rebel way, right? Because Jeremiah just thinks so differently, and more people should listen to Jeremiah. That's the bottom line, ladies and gentlemen. What's up? The rebellion is here. We're going to go live every week on Friday. This show is going to be a little short, a little sweet, but we thought it appropriate to surprise everybody last minute on a Friday when you're all already set with your plans and doing stuff, so nobody will be here, and it can just be the two of us, and we can just test this out, make sure that we're good at it in the first place.
Library or something, I don't know.
I'm in a library. Yeah, let's talk about that. I'm in a library in the middle of Louisville, Kentucky.
Didn't even know
shout out to anybody that is in Louisville, Kentucky, living here. This place is weird. I'm just kidding. No hate to Louisville, Kentucky. I actually just got here, but this library is like a spaceship. And I'm just sitting here in this glass room where the sound will definitely get out, and people can sit outside of here and listen to me and be like, "What is he doing?" But yeah, part of our rebellion is like ultimate freedom, and so that's why I'm here. In case anybody's wondering. My ultimate freedom is just being able to like get up and travel, train and coach anywhere in the world. And for me, it's the East Coast of the United States because it's closest to my new home in Tennessee, where I live now with my family. So my wife and son are out here finding books, hanging out, living their lives. And Jeremiah and I are running a live session. Who'd have thunk this would be what I was doing on a Friday in the middle of October? But Jeremiah, you're just at home, right? Like, it's not as cool. Your story's not as cool.
Yeah, I have a library bookshelf like over there.
Okay.
But, so it's somewhat similar, but yeah, I'm just at home. This is probably the room that I'll mostly be in. So I'm not the East Coast traveler like Dale. Can't be that cool. But yeah, I kind of thought of this show as like, or this weekly live being like what kind of like The Tonight Show meets Seinfeld meets Sales Hacker meets Star Wars. I don't know.
Star Wars? That's pretty cool. Now you're speaking my language. So, okay, hold on a second. So we're gonna talk about Sith versus Jedi. Like, is that what we're saying here, bro? I don't get my hopes up right now, my man.
I mean, I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan in the world, which I know is blasphemy. So maybe not. Maybe not too in depth like that, but we might get into some of that stuff. But definitely rebel things. Basically, we want to give people the inside look of what the rebellion is, essentially like how we think about things, and like when you bring your questions to us, how we think about it, and then like what we would go, how would we go about, responding to a message, or you bring a question to us, we're going to tell you how we would do stuff. Because it's probably very different from what you're doing, and it's probably very different from what your manager is going to tell you what to do, or the elite sales warrior coach that can close anybody, anytime, anywhere. So it's probably going to be a lot different than that.
We should have our own version of the elite sales warrior training, where it's just kumbaya. Like, we light a fire and we whisper to each other, "I can close anyone, anywhere."
So sales training for psychotics.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I love how Jeremiah just laid out the premise of the show here. Essentially, you're here to listen to the rebellion speak. Jeremiah and I are going to be the evangelists for this particular segment inside of what the rebellion is offering, but we just want to offer something greater than the content that we put out, that we write, or the short videos that I put on TikTok that make all of you laugh. We want to go a little bit more in depth around things that are important to all of you, the struggles that are happening, the things that you're looking for a different approach on. And we firmly believe that the rebellion takes a much different approach, and we know we do because we see what other people are doing and how they're solving problems. We want to offer that to the world in a more unique way, and in a way also that can be accessed by the public. Right? You don't have to pay for coaching. Your company doesn't have to pay for coaching. You don't personally have to pay for coaching in order to hear ideas and to be a part of it.
You should.
Jeremiah would be very grateful if you all would pay for coaching. So there's that side too. But think of all the topics that we discuss here on this show as something that's just got a little bit more flavor, a little bit more juice, a little bit of a different look to it and approach to it than what the traditional sales guru or influencer or whatever you want to call them would be laying out. And so we hope that you'll join us on Fridays. We'll probably meet pretty sporadically at first, and eventually it'll be at a set time. Who knows? I mean, maybe we'll just rebel against our own rules and, tell you guys it's at 2 and then not actually show up to our own show. We'll figure that out. However, please, if you're watching this, whether it's live or later on down the road, please leave a comment inside of this stream, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn right now. Those are the 3 platforms that we're going to be streaming on. Leave a comment. Let us know what are some things that are going on in your world and the sales walk that you're currently existing in. You need some help with some advice on some topics that are hot, some problems that you're going through, some things that you're just generally struggling with or just curious about. Maybe you want to debate us on something too. That's cool. We're open to whatever. Pretty chill dudes. I mean, Josh Brown, shout out to Josh Brown if you're out there listening right now. Josh Brown would say Dale is cool as a cucumber. I don't know if I would say that personally, but I'm pretty chill. Pretty chill guy at the end of the day. So Jeremiah, we're keeping this one kind of short because we don't have a lot of topics, right? But there was one that we saw recently inside the Rebel Slack. By the way, if you're not in the Rebel Slack, get in the Rebel Slack. Holler at us if you need help getting into it. But talk to us a little bit about the question that was thrown up in the Rebel Slack, Jeremiah.
Yeah, so we always hear about like cold this, cold that, cold emails, how you should write a cold email, how long it should be, all that sort of thing. Cold calls, the best cold call opener, everything's freaking cold. So cold texts is one that you don't really hear a whole lot about. I think most people are still pretty much afraid of it. Maybe not as afraid as they are of a cold FaceTime, but still pretty afraid of like cold texting people. So the question we got is like, hey, what do you think about cold texting? And then the context around that was, I've tried it a couple times and I haven't really gotten any response. And then I tried it again and this guy got really mad that I texted. So what do you guys think about cold texts? So that came into the Slack. And basically there was a couple folks that said, I hate it. Don't do it. So should that be the Rebel answer? Like, everybody hates it. Don't do it. It's going to make people hate you and think you suck.
I mean, I think ultimately there's like you could do anything and cause people to hate you and think you suck, right at the end of the day, right? So I think from my perspective, and this is coming from also experience, right, in my own sales process, inside of the Rebellion or outside, prior to back when I was selling copiers. And then also the people that we're coaching right now, I would say to people out there that are thinking about cold texts, why you should stop sending them is if you look at it right now and it looks like spam, or you're trying to pitch somebody on an appointment, or you're sending a message that's like, hey, how are you? Like, those are very inappropriate ways to send somebody an initial text message to get to know them a little bit better, right? Ultimately, that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to build trust and credibility through our sales process. And text messages can be a great medium that can be used inside of your cadence and sequencing in order to be able to connect and build that trust and credibility. But again, if you're texting somebody and asking them if they own this property and are looking to sell it, or hi, how are you? Things, again, that are very malicious in regards to the way that most people see them, or spammy in regards to the way that most people see them, it's not going to go over right. But a lot of the time where we see success is in people doing things like sending a voice note instead of leaving a voicemail after a dial, and using language that is very soft, very disarming, and essentially guiding the conversation somewhere from the perspective of, I'm not ultimately here to try and make you do anything. This is me introducing myself, trying to get to know you a little bit better, get a feel for the flavor. Maybe this text message pisses you off. The fact that I sent it could, but I would love your honest feedback on it, opinion on it, and to be able to be pointed in the right direction as to like where I can go to have a conversation with you, because you don't pick up my calls and you don't respond to my emails. So the other side of that is that we typically use the non-traditional approach. So either we put together, we spend 5 minutes, right, putting together a video that we condense down to 30 seconds to 45 seconds max, do some quick edits on it, something fun, something that's a little bit wacky, different, stands out from the sea of sameness that we talk about so often inside of the rebellion, that makes somebody think a little bit differently, and then once that causes them to dial in to what it is that's happening, right? Because the experience focuses on them and not yourself. Ultimately, I think that.
Oh, you might have just gone mute there. And it's buffering. All right, so Dale's gone. That's great. Yeah, so from a practical, on cold text, from a practical perspective, when you think of when you look at like your text on a phone, it's basically like the LinkedIn inbox. You know, it just new stuff gets like, or new stuff pushes down the old stuff. So first of all, if you're just a number that's coming in, it's not a name, it's unrecognized. So there's the little preview, part. And so if it says something just, very salesy, or something they can easily identify as someone they don't know, or a salesperson or whatever, then it's not going to go over very well. But what I do, and I don't think I've actually ever sent a cold text other than doing this, is I will send a voice note. Now, I guess maybe that's not always an option, depending on maybe the type of phone you're sending to or something. But if I can send a voice note, I can, I can use tone, obviously, to convey my message and say things where it's not going to be like this super long wall of text, but I can say the things like Dale was talking about, like, hey, you might be super offended that I'm using your cell phone to send you a voice note right now. And if this seems a little too intrusive, I'm sorry. But again, you haven't been, answering my emails or calls, and so this is the way I thought I could reach out without it being, too intrusive. So you can have a voice note that, again, you can just do a lot more than just a text, a text message, and that can be a lot more impactful in your sales cadence. So that's my approach on cold text, is to use them for sure. But to use them in a way that really you would kind of use video in a sequence, and send it through email at some point. So it wouldn't be my first touch. It would be somewhere in there, though, even if I hadn't heard from them. And the reason people are afraid of it is because it usually comes back to like this fear of missing out on something that they don't even have. So, if I haven't gotten in touch with someone and I've only reached out, 4 times or something, if I send a cold text, they might get pissed off, and then they won't want to talk to me ever again. And that's why people don't do it. But I would definitely say take the leap if you do it in the right way, which we have just talked about. And there's rebels out there doing this, in addition to myself, that do not get angry messages back from people saying, don't text me ever again, I hate you. So I'm gonna see if we can get Dale back in here. He says I can add him to the stream, but I have no idea how to work this, so I'm not really sure. So this first show has turned into quite the interesting little chat here, but I don't think, because I'm like not the organizer, I think I can't add back in. So if you have a question, go ahead and put it in the comments. We only had like a couple more minutes that we were going to do this anyway. I don't even know if anybody's out there listening. So if you got a question, throw it in the comments real quick. See if we've got another one down in here. Actually, one I thought about the other day, a quick story for you, just to tell you to never make assumptions, because you really don't know what's going on. So there was a situation where we had basically been in conversations with a company for a while, and with their sales leaders about coaching. And so Dale had met with one of the sales leaders not too long ago, and he said, "Hey, we'd like to get together soon. Tell Jeremiah that he needs to stay on me. Don't let him, let me off the hook. Don't tell him that he's not bothering me or anything like that." And so Dale said, "Hey, he said to go ahead and, bother the hell out of him. So do that." So I started to do that. At the same time, I'm kind of busy. I don't want to send like 12 messages a day to something. But he wasn't really responding to anything. And so I was sending quite a lot of messages and thinking like, oh, there's no way he wants me to contact him this much. Like he's got to either be maybe like, I don't know what's going on, but he's not responding. So you start to have these thoughts creep in like, oh, maybe they're just not interested at all, or whatever the case is, even though you may be on the inside of the rebellion, have been a student for a long time and now work here, you still start to have these thoughts that like, oh, they don't want to hear from me. But anyway, so I went basically through 3 days and then come to find out. So I get a text message from him saying, "Hey, it looks like you've been trying to get a hold of me. But I've been out on a hunting trip, and so I haven't gotten any of your messages. So I'd like to connect tomorrow." So just a quick story to tell you, like, hey, don't ever assume. We do that all the time, and so that's why we don't attempt to send that creative message. Why we don't even send any message at all, because we think we're bothering people. And while sometimes that may be the case, it's up to the other party to communicate to us, especially something that you've been engaged with. So you just don't want to assume that something is going on that is not, until they tell you. So until they tell you otherwise, just assume that they're busy with other things. You're not their first priority, even if they said that maybe you are up there. Just never assume anything. So just assume that you should never assume, I guess. But just hopefully that encourages some of you guys to think, that are maybe thinking in some of your deals that have gone a little bit cold or something, that you don't need to be scared about reaching out again. Just make sure that you're using the Rebel concepts of, interrupting the patterns that maybe you've started to get into with them as they're following up. And just do it in a rebellious way. Be creative. Send them a missing poster. If they've been unresponsive for a while, and just do the fun stuff that we talk about all the time. So that's going to be it for today. The first one was maybe a little bit uneventful. This is our first one we threw together. Hopefully, some of that content was helpful to you. But about 20 minutes was about as long as we wanted to go. So I'm going to say bye for now. We'll see you back next week with a lot more stuff to talk about, and with Dale back with us. Maybe not in a library this time. So bye for now, Rebels. We'll see you next week.
Yo, Dale, I know it's after hours, but I just want to say thank you, because your boy got 7 appointments today. I've never done that in a single day before. 7 appointments. A lady just told me, I swear, she just told me it's like the skies parted and you appeared. We were just talking about this morning. You couldn't have called at a better time. Let's go, baby!